Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you know, I'm Stephanie. Today we are doing another video for Bookmas slash vlogmas. If you guys don't know, and if you know, I do a bunch of lifestyle vlogs and book content. So for Christmas I decided to do both, and this is one of them. I'm doing a bunch of recommendation videos for authors. I'm doing like a bunch of other videos that are just book related content, so keep an eye out for that. Today one of the authors I want to talk about is, let's see, can you see this? We are doing Cora Reilly. Cora Reilly is my favorite author of all time. She is the author I started reading, actually, the very beginning. For the people that are new, quick little backstory on how I started reading. I've always loved reading. I started reading on Wattpad, and I continued reading on Wattpad till I was in high school pretty much. I never decided to pick up like a physical book other than like Twilight and all those very popular books, but never books like these. Now, I will say, I saw a TikTok of the Born in Blood series, and immediately I had to get it. I bought them all. I read them all in a week, and that's how I went from these books, a room full of books. So we're gonna start with Cora Reilly. This is kind of like a reading guide slash just my thoughts and all the books you must read by her if you're new to her. If you're interested, obviously just continue to watch. Remember to like this video, comment down below if you read Cora Reilly. If you haven't, you must do it now, and subscribe for more videos, and let's get started. We're gonna start with my baby. This is Luca Vitiello. This book is amazing. I love it. It's technically book 0 in the Born in Blood series, but it's 100% worth it. And to start with this one, please listen to me when I say this, because a lot of people start with Bound by Honor, and no, you're doing the wrong choice there. Do not do that. Do this right here. So Luca pretty much, the whole Born in Blood series takes place in Chicago, New York, and kind of Vegas, kind of. So Luca is the son of the capo of the New York Familia, and he is this brutal mafia man. Like, he is truly just brutal. He's cruel. He does not like anyone. He kills without caring about anything. And he has a very traumatic childhood. You'll read it in this book. But at one point his dad is just like, you're gonna marry Arya, who is the daughter of the conciliature. I can't say that word. And she's this mafia princess. And Luca's just like, okay, I guess I'll get married. So he gets engaged to her at a pretty young age. I think Arya gets promised to him when she's 15 and he's older, because there is an age gap. But then that's it. Like, they're pretty much like, you're gonna get married together, but that's later on. So we see like their first interaction, and let me just tell you, let me give you this. Arya gets disrespected by someone in her family, and this man cuts off his finger, literally, for disrespecting her. And this is when he didn't even care for her, and she was very young, and he was just like, okay, we'll talk later. Obviously, when she becomes of age at 18, it's finally like, okay, it's time for you to get married. And it's their arranged marriage. Now, I love this book. I would defend this book with my whole heart. I love Luca. I just think Luca is a man who did not know love. His dad was horrible. And even then, he chose to not be like his dad. He chose love. He chose Arya, and it was just beautiful. I will say, a lot of people do not like this book for something that happens in this book. I personally do not care what happens in this book, because it was at the very beginning of their relationship, and Arya made it very clear to him that just things were not going to happen between them. And this man pretty much said, fine, I'll leave you to be by yourself. I'll do my thing. But yeah, so it's just like, that happened at the beginning of the relationship. I don't care for it. Like, there was no feelings involved yet. I love this book. This is Luca, Bound by Honor. A lot of people make the mistake of reading this first book. I did not read it. I started with Luca, and then I read this like a year later. I gave this, I think, 3.5 when I originally gave Luca's book 5 stars. And that's because this is only in Arya's point of view. The issue with that is that Arya is a mafia princess. She is very sheltered. In Luca's book, you get all the information about the mafia. You get his childhood. You get everything. Every single thing you get. And in this book, you don't get that. You only get Arya's point of view, which is pretty much her being in the apartment, doing nothing, or the little things she does. Like talking to her sister on the phone. That's just like an example. And you just feel like you read this and you just feel like so much is missing. And that's because this is a mafia series. Like, you need to know the mafia, and obviously she cannot give you the mafia, which is why I kind of recommend you to not even read this book, because I just don't think it's worth it. But I love this. I have Bound by Duty. I actually hate this book. I hate Dante, but it's very important. Now we're in Chicago. Dante is actually the son of the capo, so he's gonna become the capo. And in this book, I think he is a capo. Now, Dante lost a wife, and he really loved the wife. And in this whole book, he's pretty much grieving the wife, but he needs to take a new wife. So it's also an arranged marriage. And we have Valentina. Valentina is actually the cousin, I think, of Arya from this book. And Valentina's a queen. She knows what she likes. She knows what she wants. She goes for it. In my opinion, she runs the Chicago outfit. Now, this is very interesting because Valentina used to have a husband as well, and he died. But there was a little secret about her relationship, and pretty much her husband was gay. They were best friends, and she knew the whole time. So in this book, she's really like, I want love, I want a marriage, and Dante's just like giving her the cold shoulder. Now, for that main reason, I do not like him. There's something that happens in this book. It's actually one of the tropes that I hate, but in this book, I was just like, she told him what happened, and he was just like, she questioned her about it, and I was just like, F you, Dante. If you know, you know. I do not like him. But Valentina, this book is worth it for Valentina, in my opinion. This is Bound by Hatred. This is one of my favorites as well. It's very tapped. This is Matteo and Gianna. I love these. These are my babies. Matteo is actually the brother of Luca from book 1. And Matteo is just that crazy motherfucker. And he is funny. He is so funny. He makes you laugh. He just kind of doesn't care. He's the type to go do stupid shit just for the fun of it, and it's amazing. Gianna is the sister of Arya, so keep that in mind. So they, from the very beginning, have chemistry. They like each other and they want each other. However, Gianna just hates the mafia. She really hates it. She hates her father. She wants to run away, and I feel like she really would have gave it a chance with Matteo if it wasn't for the fact that he is a second in command in the mafia. She just hates his world. So they get an arranged marriage, and Matteo, he really wants her. He is like obsessed. He loves her, whatever. He wants her. Gianna's just like, no, we're not doing this. I'm literally dipping, like I'm going away. So she runs away and he chases her, and I just loved it. It was beautiful. I loved every second about this. Then we have Bound by Temptation. We have the final sister. We have Liliana, which is the sister of Arya and Gianna. She's the youngest. And then we have, finally, Romero. Romero is, he's very close to Luca and Matteo. He becomes Arya's bodyguard. And since he's always around, and Liliana's around, there is a age gap. I want to say it's like 14 years. Liliana has always liked Romero. She's always wanted him, but obviously Romero has always just looked at her as a kid. But after what happens in these books right here, the mafia isn't doing so good. That's all I can say. Like, there's things happening. The mafia is so involved in this series, which is why I loved it. And Liliana is suffering a lot for what has happened with her sisters and the mafia and the repercussions. And at one point, Romero kind of sees her differently, and he's just like, what is going on? Like, how can we help you? It's forbidden. It's gorgeous. It's amazing. Let's just say this book leads to war. War between the New York Familia and Chicago outfit. Bound by Love. I do want to say, I think I'm missing 2 books. Which is Dante and Valentina. They have a second book. I'm not gonna read that. I didn't even think it's worth to read it because I don't like Dante, and I didn't feel confused going into this book. And then there's Grau's book, which I think is called Bound by Vengeance. A lot of people say it's not necessary to read it. Once again, I didn't read it and I was fine. I jumped to Bound by Love. This is Arya and Luke again. This book, 5 stars again. I loved it. It's very tabbed. Can't really say too much about it other than they're married, and something happens where, remember how I said there's war here in this book? Pretty much Arya still has a little brother, and he's in the outfit obviously, and Arya's very concerned for him, and she kind of goes to help him, and it leads to a lot of issues with her marriage because the mafia gets involved. and it's very messy. This romance in here is very messy, but it's beautiful at the same time, and I loved it. It's just really good. By Blood, which is the anthology. Now this is pretty much novellas of all the couples in here. It's pretty much a bunch of babies. That's it. But it's really good. We jump into the Cora Chronicles, which is this. It's a follow-up series. In this book right here, Bound by Love, we finally get to see Remo Falcone. He is very known in the mafia world for Vegas. He owns Vegas. Cora owns Vegas. But the first book is actually Aria's brother, the one she tried helping. This is Fabi's book, Fabiano, and we have Leona. Now Leona has a troubled past. She kind of is poor, and she bumps into Fabiano one day when she finally decides to move to Vegas with her dad. And this girl is literally like wearing flip-flops, and Fabiano is just very well dressed, and she does not know that she gets in the car with the mafia man. And it's pretty much the romance. Fabiano is the enforcer of the Cora, and Leona and him just kind of hit it off. Fabi really wants to help Leona because her dad is just a big no, and the dad also owes the Cora a lot of money. I really like this book. It's not my favorite, but I really like it. Twisted Emotions. So people are gonna hate me for this. I don't care. I do not like Cora. She is simply okay to me, but I think I just don't like her, so she's just there. Not that I hate her, I just could care less about her. Now this is Cora and Nino. Nino is also another character I do not care for. Another big shocker. I don't know what it was about Nino. This is a sociopath, and Cora is from the Familia family. She's actually cousins with Luca Viriello. And this is an arranged marriage as well. The Cora and the Familia pretty much do this arrangement to be at peace with each other, and this is the marriage. Now Nino is the second brother, and he is like the second in command to Remo Falcone, and it's their arranged marriage. Now Cora had a very a traumatic childhood, and in their arranged marriage, Nino finds out what has happened to her when she was a kid, and he's pretty much like, I'm gonna kill him. So with the help of Remo and with the approval of Luca, they pretty much kill him. And Nino has always just kind of protected her, looked out for her, and it's their romance. Now I didn't really care for this romance at all. Like, it wasn't bad, it's just not my favorite in any way. I think Nino, I love sociopaths and psychopaths, fictional men like that, because they're just, we love morally gray men. But in this book, Nino wasn't giving me anything. Like, he was just too cold. Like, I didn't care for him. Like, he didn't give me any excitement, which really bothered. And even though he's full of tattoos, he didn't give anything to me. And Cora, the only reason and main reason I do not like her is just because I felt like she was too... The word I'm looking for is entitled. Like, she would tell Remo to not do certain things. Like, she had too much liberty when she was barely new to their household, and I didn't like that, because at the end of the day, Remo was the capo. He is the main leader, and it just felt like she just didn't care. I don't know, people could argue with me, don't argue with me, I don't care too. This is just my opinion. Quickly want to say that for the majority, she's just there for me. There's just certain scenes in the books where she'll do something, like for example, she slaps Remo when she thinks he did something, and in fact he didn't. And either way, if he would have done it, he is the capo. So to me, I was just like, you have no right to slap him. So just like, that's what I was trying to say. I know people love this book. It was okay to me. Twisted Pride, which is my favorite. I love this book. It's very much loved. I am obsessed with this. This is Enemies to Lovers. He pretty much kidnaps her. Serafina is the niece of Dante, and he kidnaps her to make a statement. I can't remember exactly the reason, and the whole time he makes her family think that he is torturing her, that he's doing all these things to her, when in reality he's being pretty much a gentleman. Like, he is, and it's their love story. Like, they're falling in love for each other, but at one point he lets her go. And there's a trope I absolutely hate in here, but I loved it in here. Like, it was amazing. I love this. I cherish this book. Now here we go on to the detail of why I kind of also don't like these two right here. The next book, I actually have the bound up, So it's the next 3 books. So Twisted Bonds, it's actually Nino and Kiara's book again. And to me, once again, it just feels like Nino and Kiara, they get too much. First of all, books. They get 2 books. When it, in my opinion, it should be Remo getting 2 books because he's the couple. In Born in Blood, we get Luca's book, which is twice because he's the couple. We also get Dante, which Dante is a couple, and we get twice his book. So in this series, I truly don't understand why we have Nino and Kiara. I don't think it's worth it, and in my opinion, pretty much Twisted Pride, but in Nino and Kiara's point of view, and it's their romance once again. And it's pretty much them finding their way with kids. We did not need that. That could have been into the anthology. This, however, because so much of the relationship was them being like she was kidnapped and then he let her go, because the majority of the end of the book they're separated till the very like last 4 chapters they get back together. My opinion is just like we should have gotten a book about them because we didn't really see them as a couple that would have been in the real world. It just didn't make sense. Twisted Hearts, Savio and Gemma. Savio is another brother. Contrary to a lot of people's belief, I really liked the book. I really enjoyed it. It's very much player. Finally finds the one. However, Gemma is Savio's best friend's little sister. So she's always been around and she's always liked him. She's always wanted him. And he's just kind of been like, no, like it's not happening. She gets engaged to this other guy. And immediately Savio's just like, no, you're not marrying anyone other than me. So they get engaged. Now I really liked it because at one point Savio's not changing. This man is a man whore. He's just like, he doesn't care. And Gemma is finally done with his shit and she calls off the engagement. And I really loved it. I think it's one of my favorite scenes that always plays in my head, just because I love those books where it's like it hurts but then you have still the romance. Then we have Twisted Cravings, which is the final 6th book, which Twisted Cravings, it's Adamo and Dinira's book. Now the only reason I liked it but it wasn't my favorite is because Adamo's like the troubled little brother of all of these guys, and you see him throughout all the books like how he is so damaged and he's just out of control. But it just felt like it was honestly Dinira's story instead of Adamo's. I really liked Dinira. It had to do a lot with race car driving. It was a decent story. Dinira pretty much is, she's actually from like the Russian mafia, I think. It's not really connected. The last book honestly doesn't feel like it's a part of the series. As I mentioned, it feels like it's just her story. It's not Adamo's story. But it was overall good. We go on to the 2nd generation. Sins of My Father, I think that's what it's called. These 3 books right here. There is a 4th one, but I do not own it. Marcella Viriello. This is Luca and Arya's daughter. I love them. They're really good. Actually, they're not as amazing as the first the first 2 series. They're just simply okay. I feel like this could have had so much potential, but we have By Sinai Rise 1 and By Sinai Rise 2. Now it's called Sins of the Fathers for a reason. Pretty much Marcella gets kidnapped for something her father did a long time ago, and one of the guys that kidnapped her is gonna be her love interest. Now it just felt like her love interest was very weak. In my opinion, I'm like, why would Cora Reilly make this man her love interest? He was so weak in my opinion. He did not give what he needed to give. Now book 2, I really was excited for this and I was rooting for this, but once again it wasn't the best. This is By Sinai Rise Part 2, and this is after Marcella gets obviously back, like she's no longer kidnapped. And I really enjoyed it because we get so much of the family. We get Luca, we get Amo. Her relationship with her brother is so beautiful. Like he's so there for her. The only thing, and the thing that this had so much potential, is that Marcella, after she gets kidnapped, she's no longer the mafia princess who just buys a bunch of clothes and goes to party at clubs. She tells her dad, she's like, I want to be part of the mafia and we're gonna kill all those people that kidnapped me. And she pretty much takes over a section of the mafia, and I love that for her, but I just wish we would have gotten more of that, and we didn't. But overall it was just a decent story. And then between that one and this one, we have By Fate I Virtue, I think that's what it's called, which is Dina and Dante's daughter. And this is the picture right here. And she pretty much she wants to go to fashion school in Paris, and it's a bodyguard romance, and they go off to Paris. Now the reason I didn't love this is because I think they go to Paris and they start their relationship, and immediately it jumps to 2 years later, and then she's going back home. And when her dad finds out, when Dante finds out that her bodyguard, who used to be an enforcer, are together, he doesn't do anything. There was no Mafia in that book. Part of me was so confused because I was just like, is he not an enforcer? It wasn't my favorite. Like, I think I gave it 3.5. And then finally we have By Fate I Conquer. This book right here is one of my favorites. I actually gave it 5 stars. I love this so much. We have Amo Vitiello and Greta Falcone. You heard it right. Amo right here is the brother of Marcella, and he is also the son of Luca Vitiello. And pretty much Amo is engaged to this other girl, and Greta is this very timid girl from Vegas. Obviously she's the daughter of Remo Falcone and Serafina. Amo sees Greta when he has a meeting in Vegas with his dad, Remo, and Greta's twin nephew, and he kind of gets locked in with Greta at one point, and he really ends up liking her, and they kind of start this relationship, and they try to get together, but both of the families are like, we hate each other, we're at war. We're not at war, but we're very close to getting at war if this happens. Kind of don't actually get together, and it's not until later, it's kind of like a second chance romance, that they finally start getting together, and shit like goes crazy. Like there's war again, the mafia is going crazy. I love this book. I did give it 5 stars, but I think there's so many parts of it that just shouldn't have happened in this book, and I can't get into it because it's gonna spoil details. But just Greta deserved better, like with her relationship with Amo, in my opinion. I feel like what happened here shouldn't have happened. And then we have Greta's twin nephew and Aurora, which Aurora is the daughter of Bobby and Leona, and it's gonna be their romance, and that's the next one that's coming out probably within the next year. And these right here are all of Cora Reilly's books that I have read, all her books that she has read. Started a new series, a new Mafia series. It's supposed to be the Irish Mafia. I have not read it. I actually don't plan on reading it, but I wanted to make this video for the people that are interested in reading Born in Blood, that are interested in reading the Camorra, and are interested in reading the second generation. And this is pretty much the reading guide I recommend. Until next time.